Do you think life rewards you somewhat proportional to the hardness of the problem that you solve?
So I think a hard problem doesn't necessarily guarantee that it is a valuable problem.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you run a marathon very hard, doesn't necessarily make you more money. So like there's lots of hard things that are out there that will not turn into monetization.
Mm-hmm.
The second thing is I think it depends on the size of your goals. And so if you want to be a millionaire, you do not need to solve a hard problem. You just need to do a little bit better than other businesses that are wildly underserving their customers, which I promise you, there are plenty. Mm-hmm. You can just have a pool cleaning business that just cleans better than the other guy and like shows up on time, and all you got to do is knock on doors and ask if they want to switch because their current company probably doesn't pay attention to them.
One of the things that, a lot of founders, entrepreneurs are thinking about at the moment is producing content. We're living in an interesting time where a kid in Mumbai or a kid in Manhattan can both produce content using LLMs, AI. They can produce videos theoretically. If you imagine any rate of improvement, they're going to be able to make videos, photos, churn out your quotes. They could use your quotes, change them a little bit, and have an agent post them for them. Where is the moat in content? Where if you think about supply-demand dynamics, there's fixed demand. The Financial Times did a report saying that time spent on social media is starting to dip a little bit since 2022 for younger generations.
Interesting.
For older generations, it's still sort of like going up or flat. But for Gen Zs, it's like starting to come down a little bit. So stagnant demand, tsunami slop coming in of AI content.
Yeah.
Huge supply shock. Every unit of content itself is going to become less valuable, therefore. And the algorithms are getting more violent, or I should say, are becoming more... someone with 10 million followers can get 2,000 likes. Back in my day, 15 years ago, when I started on social media, if you had 1 million followers, you got a million likes, or 1 million views, shall I say. What's the game of content in such a world? Everyone's making content now.
To your point, what's the moat? Reality is the moat.
Reality is the moat.
I'd say the number one biggest business influencer, I think, on the planet is Elon Musk. And he happens to own the biggest business on the planet, be the richest man. Jeff Bezos, huge business influencer because he has Amazon. Warren Buffett, probably the number one investing influencer. Like people fly around the world, and when he talks, everyone listens. And so even if a teacher in Des Moines, Iowa, word for word quotes Warren Buffett, and let's do one better. Let's say makes even better advice than Warren Buffett does. It's still not going to get the same views because they just forgot to build Berkshire Hathaway and have 100 years of track record. And so what I'm saying there is that when reality is the mode, it means that your brand is the mode. It means your reputation is the mode, which can only happen in reality. Now that said, I do think it's going to affect different types of content differently. If you're in the world of making fictional whatever stuff, then I think I think AI is going to hit you much harder. But even then, there's still going to be the standard holder. Somebody has to determine that this slop is too sloppy and that you still have to work really hard to make the AI make exactly what you want and have it at the caliber that you want it to be at.
Have you made any changes to your content because of everything that's going on with algorithms and AI?
Yeah. I'm focused on only doing things that only I can do. Most people can't get hundreds of business owners to fly out in person every month that are all $1 million plus business owners to seek advice on real business problems at 3 million, 5 million, 10 million a year, 500K a year. Most people don't have that. And so I can demonstrate expertise in a live and interactive fashion in a way that other people can't do. I think that live is something that, AI maybe in the future will have some AI avatars that can go live, but at least in the short to medium term, I think live is good. I think IRL, as in like it's actually real people talking, which is, we talked about the Scale or Fail show that we just launched. It's real entrepreneurs and there's stakes involved. I think that is something that is not going to be replaced. But if we think about content on this continuum, all right, let's make this continuum risk. When I say risk, it's the risk that a consumer has in consuming the content and executing on it. And so if we differentiate entertainment and education, is entertainment, the point of the content is to be consumed. It's the only objective of entertainment. The point of education is to change behavior, right? So if that's our split. Now, entertainers will get hit harder than educators will. The entertainers that have stakes involved will be able to maintain that moat by still focusing on IRL, real stakes, real stories. Now, in the education world of risk, let's put something that's really low stakes. There we go. So we've got beauty on this side. If I have an AI influencer who does a makeup tutorial, I don't think the risk is super high that if the tutorial is good, that a girl's like gonna not use the tip that they made in the thing. I think that's pretty likely. If you go maybe a little bit riskier, let's say I have some personal finance stuff. Well, what's the credit? So the credibility in beauty is beauty. The credibility in personal finance is, do you have personal finances? Right? So who's the number one influencer in personal finance? My opinion, I think, is Dave Ramsey. He also happens to be, I don't think he calls himself this, but I think he's a billionaire. And he's got a massive, I think he's public, $300 million a year of revenue that he's done. And I think there's some other newer age people. I think Vivian too she's a personal finance person. I think Erica Kohlberg touches in this. She's the legal gal. Anyways, all this to say, all of them have more credibility. Like if you just start giving out tips on how to save money, there's no credibility. Reality. There's no reality. You have nothing to back it up. Mm-hmm. Now we keep moving further. Let's say business, where if you make a wrong call, you could lose your business. Here you lose some money. Here you lose a bad day of makeup. So the risk goes up. The riskier or the higher the consequences of being wrong, the more people are going to, I think, double down on credibility of source.
What's interesting is I also heard, as you were describing flying these 100 business owners out to Vegas, is I heard scarce, hard and scarce. Mm-hmm. And I've still thought a lot about these two words as sort of the pillars of my own content strategy, which is with an LLM, a kid in Mumbai could churn out a video. Mm-hmm. But the reason why we have, somewhat of a moat here still is because it is hard to shoot on 9 cameras. It is hard to bring Alex Hormozi here. It is hard to get Alex Hormozi to say yes to doing this. It is hard to get Michelle Obama or JD Vance to say yes to doing this. So it's hard from a production perspective, but also from to accomplish this is hard. And then what you described, I heard a lot of I heard hard and scarce. Who can bring 100 entrepreneurs to Vegas who are all successful in their own right and have them ask you questions? Mm-hmm. So that's great content for us to watch. Mm-hmm. It's really impossible to
very hard. If I had only had a $46 million exit, I don't know if I would attract the number of entrepreneurs that we do now. Mm-hmm. But now that we do 250 plus, school's a $1 billion plus company, it's like I have credibility that the YouTube, the content, right, is not like I still do business. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? We have chains of brick and mortar that we're involved in. I just don't talk about it because it's not relevant for most people.
Let's look at the opposite then as well, just to show people what the opposite of hard and scarce or of this approach is. What types of content should we all kind of stay away from now?
So I think commoditized tips and tricks, when you have again, like proof is in the pudding. Reality is the moat. It's basically the opposite of that. So if you are posing, if you are pretending, if you have no proof that you are good at this thing, and again, this is on the education side, then there's I call it the big Vegas wispy. Why should I listen to you? Right? Why should I listen to you? And if you can't answer that question for, I'll say a prospect, prospective customer, within the first couple of seconds, they'll just listen to somebody else. Because the reason that credibility matters so much is that it's actually lower effort to consume information from somebody who's an authority. And so if I'm listening to somebody who doesn't have proof and I'm listening to investing advice, I have to really think is this true? Does this make sense? If I'm listening to Warren Buffett, I don't have to think that. I'm like, I'm sure he's right. Now, when someone's like, how do I get into this? You do what no one else can do. Well, if you are getting in, then document the proof of effort. So you can have proof of outcome, just like what we do. Right? What you do. But then when you're starting, there's proof of effort. Jimmy's first viral video is him counting to 1 million. It's proof of effort. When you have nothing else, you have time, you have work. If you want to say, hey, I want to get into sales stuff, it's like record your entire day of you selling. And then when you overcome something that's really good, that's real life with real stakes, clip the moment, right? And show yourself. It's like, I took 22 calls today. Let me tell you the best moment. I did a 12-hour day. In 3 minutes, I'll give you the best moments. It's like people want a deal. And so I think about that as a compression of time. And the reason that people listen to the people who are further ahead, who've done all these things, is because we can compress time. Mm-hmm. You say, hey, you could try and figure this out on your own. But if I can compress 14 years of business advice into 37 minutes, that's a good deal.
Do you know what it reminded me of? 7 or 8 years ago, when I used to have, big clients, Uber, Coca-Cola, whatever, around the world, we used to do a lot of social competitions, social media competitions. And I used to have this mental framework for the perfect competition. Mm. And I remember the day that when I first heard of you and you were coming on my show and I was looking through some of your writings and you almost had an identical framework.
Yeah. So the core, so each of the books has one core concept, and then it breaks down how to use it, etc. But the value equation comes down to what's the outcome, and some outcomes are worth more than others. Mm-hmm. If I can help you cut your hair versus I can get you to be in perfect shape is worth more. If I can get you to be a billionaire versus perfect shape, billionaire is worth more, right? So we have outcome, and then we have perceived likelihood of achievement.
Perceived likelihood of achievement. Okay, so this is interesting. Yeah,
it's the inverse of risk.
Yeah,
how likely do I think it is? And then we have on the downside of this, we have time delay. How long is it going to take me to get the thing? And then we have effort.
Is this
sacrifice?
Is this effort and sacrifice?
No, different.
No?
Yeah. So effort is all the things that you have to begin to do as a result of a decision that you don't want to do. Sacrifice is all the good things that you have to stop doing as a result of a decision. So if I get into fitness, I have to stop eating the stuff I like, and I have to start eating stuff I don't like. I have to start waking up earlier. I can't sleep in as much. I have to be sore where I wasn't before. And so that's my effort and sacrifice piece. The time delay is, okay, if I can get in shape in 3 minutes versus getting in shape in 3 months or 3 years.
Okay.
The outcome is, am I getting in shape or am I being a billionaire? And then how likely is this to happen? Because on some level, like if I buy a PDF of a fitness program for $19, or I pay $3,000 for a personal trainer to train me in person 3 times a week, my perceived likelihood of achievement of buying the PDF versus the personal trainer is much higher. Now, the effort and sacrifice is actually going to be relatively fixed, but this is the part that goes up. Now, the time delay, if done right, should also be fixed there. But this is what explains the difference in value on a product level. But the value equation works for everything, just like consuming content.
Yeah.
What's my outcome? I think I'm going to learn some shit about investing. How likely is it that I think he can provide value, or if I consume this? Pretty high. What's my time commitment of consuming this? If I'm going to watch a 4-hour video, fewer people do it than a 3-minute video, right? And then you don't really actually have to do any work when you're just purely consuming content. But if I wanted to take action as a result, then that's another part of it.
But it's still going to cost me 20 minutes, which is a sacrifice. I could be watching Netflix.
That's true. I think if we're using consumption of media as the thing, the effort and the time delay, basically, are we talking time delay to outcome? I'm going to be rich.
Yeah.
Or am I talking? Yeah, the time is always going to be a component. What's interesting is that having looked at a zillion different offers over my life and thinking about value, the one that I think is most slept on is this one.
How quickly they can accomplish X outcome.
If you want to get into a business and just completely disrupt it, look at what everyone else is doing and do it half the time. You can do that in just about any business, because there will always be someone who's willing to pay a premium for that.
Goes back to what Jeff Bezos said about betting on things that won't change.
Yeah. His whole mantra around that has been one of my true pillars of how do I plan for the future?
Give people context on that for those that have never heard Jeff talk about that and what that means.
So I think I saw it as an interview that he did, and they said, so given X, Y, and Z, what do you think about the future? And he said, I don't really think that much about what's going to change. He said, I spend a lot more time trying to think what's not going to change. And then we bet really heavily on those things. We believe that customers will prefer cheaper prices 10 years from now, just as much as they do now. We believe that customers will prefer more selection to less selection 10 years from now, as much as they do now. We believe that if customers can get something in 2 hours, they will value that more than if it takes them 2 days. We believe in that, and we can bet in that. And so he just thinks about these elements. And if we're thinking about the value equation, how easy did they make buying? It's one click. How fast does it come? It's almost immediate. You have a history of buying from them. And this is also where the reviews come in. How likely is it? Well, if it's a 5-star with 5,000 reviews, it's pretty high. If it's got a 1.5 and it's got 2 reviews, I'm probably not going to buy it, even if it's the same product, just because of our perception of it, right? And then the outcome is what I'm willing to do for the price, right? I think about this time delay component because it's one thing that kind of loops over the whole conversation up to this point, is that people will abstract the value of a positive future outcome to 0 if it is long enough in the future.
True.
Even if it's guaranteed. You can guarantee that you will be rich if you invest, $100 a week or $200 a week, whatever, into an index fund. Right? Pretty much. And if you do that for 30, 40 years, you will be fine. Because it's 30 or 40 years, and because the latte is today, the discount basically takes it to 0. There's 2 lessons that I think that are really, really hard to learn. And I think Williamson talks about this with unlearnable or unteachable lessons, things like that. Lessons that are difficult to observe unless you go through them. One of the guys who worked for me, he said, I consumed your content for, years. He said, but seeing you at the office at 4 a.m. every day, when you don't need to do this at all, the consistency of it, he's like, I don't see that in the content. I mean, I see the output of that. And one of the things with consistency is that you need to be consistent in order to witness consistency. Like you can't even observe, even if I did a time lapse that takes 10 seconds of me doing it, you still don't perceive it. So there's the consistency piece. And I think the other one with regards to the long-term component is patience.
Yeah.
Also to be fair, focus, because Sharon, my partner, says this. He says, people only see the choices you made, not the options you had. And so you can't really witness focus. You just see winning. And so to the same degree with patience, again, you only see the win. Like if you look at a marathon, people are there at the beginning and they're there at the end. No one's here in the middle.
Yeah.
Because it's the only fun part. The content of a marathon would be the intro and the exit. Like you'd literally make it into a clip that's 30 seconds and be like, hurrah, yay. And then maybe a couple mile markers. And it's like, wait, we compressed this. What a bargain. Great return on time. You can't really witness patience unless you've literally followed it from the beginning, which of course you'll have your OG people who are with you in the beginning of Diary of a CEO, and they've seen the patience start to play out. But it's one of the things that like, one of the ultimate gifts that I would hope, and the equal opposite of this is Steve Wynn, I think, talked about how the best thing in the world is that someone comes their first time to one of his casinos, bets big and wins. It's the best thing ever. The worst thing that can happen is that the first time they come, they lose their money because then they never gamble again. And so it's like he wants that big reinforcing event up front because then you can become a gambling addict, right? And so to the same degree, my hope for like my kid in the future or anyone who's trying to start out is that they have something that happens in their life where they're rewarded for delaying the outcome and having a big jackpot as a result of the consistent effort where they delayed the reward. Because as soon as you do learn that lesson, you see how big the big can be when you wait. Yeah.
It goes back to what we were saying about long-termism as a strategy. But also, yeah, like I only needed to look at that graph, the compounding returns graph once, actually looking at my own audience growth and saying that I did 1,000 posts on Instagram and reached 1,000 followers. And then in my last 3, when I had 7,000 followers, I gained 300,000 followers in 3 posts because carousels had dropped and Instagram was rewarding everybody for carousels back then. And me seeing that graph and then going, oh, it's slow, then it's fast in success. And then starting the Diary of a CEO, and for 3 years, nobody fucking listening. And then all of a sudden it was just fucking crazy. It just went a vertical line up and go, oh, it's the same Instagram graph I saw all those years ago. So actually, it's slow, then it's fast. But most people, if you've never experienced slow, you think, oh, I'm inadequate. I fucked up. I'm dumb. But you have that religion.
Yeah. There are mistakes of picking the wrong path, but I think there are more mistakes of abandoning the right path.
How do you know though?
So there's a handful of, I think, entrepreneur questions that are eternally unanswerable, which is when do you push and when do you pivot? Like how much risk do I take on? Like should I consume or invest? Well, you don't know when you die.
True.
Right? And so with the push and pivot one, the best answer that I have to this, because I get this one a lot, like, hey, it's really hard. Should I pivot the business, change it, or should I try and push through? My actual answer is, if you had a fundamental assumption that you based the business on that has been proven untrue from your business activities, I think it makes sense to pivot. If none of your original theses are incorrect, it's just not happening as fast as you want or as easily as you want, then you push.
What's interesting is the nature of being a founder as well on that is going earlier than the world. Like when you think about outside success, everyone understands space now and they're like, oh, we can do reusable rockets now. We get it. But being the first guy or the first woman, I think is really the essence of a founder. They go earlier than the world's current available evidence. And thus there needs to be some kind of framework that you have. One of my frameworks, which I've never articulated before, and I don't even know if this is going to sound correct, but it's just always guided me, is, do I believe that I'm offering even a tiny group of people scarce value? So when I started the Diary of a CEO, I was making Facebook videos with people like Jay Shetty. We could get tens of millions of views on Facebook Watch back then. No one was mentioning it. So I remember I made this video about relationships that did 33 million views. No one would mention it. No one. And then I started this podcast called The Diary of a CEO in my bedroom. Went to Apple, bought this microphone for $100, plugged it into GarageBand, tried to edit it myself, uploaded it. And my 2 best friends, the look on their faces in the office, Ash and Oliver, when they listened to it, they had never reacted to me like that ever before for the Facebook videos I'd made. And then when I didn't upload the next week, Oliver Yonchev came to me and said, when's the episode coming out? For me, that was it.
Yeah.
For me, I was like, I've done something here that's delivered scarce value to the world, so much so that one of my best friends who's very honest with me is asking me when the next one is. And so now I follow that. So when I'm thinking about the bets we make on the future, I'm obsessed about finding things that are delivering scarce value, even if they're unscalable.
I think you bring up a really good point about the unscalable part, because so two parts of this. So one is people will not do things. I see beginning entrepreneurs say like, well, that's not scalable. And I'm like, you're broke.
Yeah.
You're broke. It's okay. You can not be scalable. You can just make money. That's okay. But it also assumes that your future self with more skills and more resources won't have the ability to figure out how to scale it.
Yeah.
And most things are like, we're building cities in the middle of the fucking ocean.
Yeah.
If you're starting a business, and this is where you have to not sell out of your own wallet, and that's the nature of the offers book, is start with the most absurdly valuable thing you possibly can. So whatever price you want to charge, add 1 or 2 zeros to it. Okay. And it's like, that's crazy. I agree. Crazy. What would you have to do in order for that to be worth it? And then you list out all the things you do. Well, if I was going to get somebody in shape, I'd probably go to their house. I would help them grocery shop. I would drive them to the gym and back from the gym to make sure that they actually did it. For $100,000, is it worth it? And they're like, well, it's not scalable. It's like, we only need 5. And I think when you're starting out, there's huge value in having unscalable services. Because one, you'll get better customers because you're going to be charging much more for something that's a little bit more premium. And the value of talking to people richer than you will do more for you than what you are doing for them. Mm-hmm. So like they will shift your worldview, which is why like a lot of people like caddies who talk to all these millionaires when they're playing golf. It's like they learn so much from the people. Like, how do you make your money? Like they learn so much worldview of, oh, I shouldn't be thinking this way. I should be thinking like this. So one is you get that. The second is that you are able to practice the unscalable thing.
Yeah.
And then you can figure out how do I take the scarce value? Okay, this is not scalable. Fine. Let's just say it's not scalable. Okay. Are there elements of this that are scalable that I now know because I've done it rather than because I thought about it? Mm-hmm. Because your thought experiments, and I'd say for myself too, are pretty terrible. Like our ability to predict the future is pretty god awful. And so we think we know what it's going to be like, and we usually have no idea. And so it's like, go do it. You'll collect way richer data that no one else has done because it was unscalable. And then you can actually create something that's more scalable, that is unique because you actually went through it. And this is getting a little bit more business hatty, but from a branding perspective, saying, hey, I have a handful of clients that pay me $2,000 a month to do this premium thing. For those of you who can't afford that, I now have this thing. You've already anchored high. They see you as the person on the hill because you deal with these unscalable, my private clients. And then you can have, like, you look at the Tesla model of start with the Roadster, and then you have the Model S, and then you work your way down to the masses. And so I'm a big believer in price as high as you can, make the very premium thing first, let that be high cash flow, high margin, low scalability, so that you can then have the money to start working your way down to more people.
Well, if I was to forensically analyze your business now, and then I brought in Alex, who started that business on day one, and I go, look at how unscalable all this stuff is that he's accomplished. I actually would make the case from what you were just saying that actually the essence of value creation in business is solving problems that didn't look scalable. I was just thinking about even the Diary of a CEO process here from the minute you leave. Like, so right now, the team in there that are doing the testing, they're actually making you a book as we speak. They took photos of us while we were sat here. And when this interview ends, they're going to walk in and hand me the book. I'm going to sign it and pass it to you. That book is going to contain quotes from fans that loved our last conversation. They're currently printing them off on Polaroids. They're writing in it. When this conversation's done, we're going to test your name 300 times using ads to see how to introduce you. I know Alex Hormozi is going to win because you're a big name now. But you think about when we started the podcast, imagine me there on GarageBand. Yeah. with $100 mic.
That's not scalable.
It's not scalable.
I use this frame a lot, which is that you are trying to solve tomorrow's problems with today's resources. And it's a fallacy. It's ridiculous. You don't have the money, you don't have the skill, you don't have the connections, you don't have the resources, you don't have the experience and the track record. But future you will. But the hard part is future is a stranger. And so I think we make a lot of this content to try and approximate as closely as possible to just pull the first step for someone to take to say, believe, like, you will figure it out. Like, as long as you do not quit, you'll win. Like, you just have to not stop. That's basically it. You just have to not stop. As long as you get feedback and you take the feedback and you improve and you do that on a long enough time horizon, you win.
So just to be clear, that you're not saying pursue a bad idea all the way and just never be stubborn about the pursuit of a bad idea. You're saying iterate your way.
Yeah, we have to get feedback.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to have a doggy skateboard and you pitch 100 dog owners on the doggy skateboard and then none of them want it, and you're like, well, I really believe in this doggy skateboard idea, and then you bring them the doggy skateboard and then they really still don't want it, you probably shouldn't sell doggy skateboards.
So you should quit the doggy skateboard business?
Yes, but you shouldn't quit business.
Okay, yeah.
I think it's local versus global. Even if you just reframe failure in that way, it makes it way more palatable. Like, you figuring it out is a lot of failures. I mean, how many failed episodes, failed headlines, packaging?
Oh my God.
You forgot to turn the mic on and did the whole, I'm sure.
Yeah, like someone came in, stole the fucking hard drive with the audio on it. It's like...
There's going to be 100 of those. But as long as it doesn't become a global failure of I'm no longer doing this, then you're good.